Welcome, honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I, Mr. Rudranarayan Das, on behalf of the organizers, extend my heartfelt welcome to all of you. Today, welcome to this international conference. Today, we are going to celebrate the 91st, 92nd, and 93rd lecture, respectively, on this Ranjit Guru series of international webinar organized by the Department of History and Political Science, JN College, Cuttack, and in a close collaboration with Center for Adivasi Research and Development Studies, Odisha. In today's session, I feel extremely honored to introduce our guest speakers, who are none other than Professor Sibaji Sarkar, Professor Novina Chakraborty, and Professor Swati Sharma. It is a pride privilege to host all of you, ma'am. The broad theme of our international webinar is kept as Initiative Policy Dialogue 2020, COVID-19, and Life Practice Beyond Pandemic. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite Professor Sharad Pradhan to initiate his brief welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rudranarayan, inviting for guest introduction, welcome address. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable research persons, Professor Sibaji Shankar, former faculty and course director, English journalism, direct IIM, New Delhi, director and School of Media, Mangalam University, Aligarh, India. Professor Novina Chakraborty, assistant professor, School of Media Communication and Patience Adams University, Kolkata. Professor Dr. Swati Sharma, assistant professor of music, vocal, FGM Government College, Adhampur, Haryana. It is my proud privilege to extend heartiest welcome to you all to this international platform to contribute and enlighten the assembly on the topic audience and the impact of cinema, special reference to print media, scripting cinema and understanding entertainment world, multiple colors of film music. In anticipation, we feel extremely honored by the presence of the resource persons on these occasions. It is a matter of a great pleasure for all of us that you could find time to be with us in spite of your preoccupations. This shows your interest in academic pursuits. Your presence here this afternoon is a source of inspiration for us and a great moral booster to the entire students and teachers community. I take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to Professor Pallava Chakraborty, Principal Jain College, Pampal, and organizing team members, Professor Shubham Das, Professor Michelle Agrawal, Professor Rudranarayan Das, and Professor Vaidhar Das for their tireless efforts to reach at this stage of success. I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Vikram Kesari Jana, Director, Center for Adivasi Research Development, Odisha, who had been effectively guiding and encouraging to conduct of this international webinar. I also take this occasion to extend a warm welcome to the distinguished guests, media personnel, students, and all others for their gracious presence on this occasion. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Pradhan, for your wonderful welcome address. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Shubham Das to go for the introduction of our guests.
Thanks, Rudra sir. A warm greeting to all. Uh, for giving me, thanks, Rudra sir, for giving me the opportunity to introduce our esteemed guest speakers of today's lecture series. Our first guest speaker is a combination of professional journalist and media academician, Professor Shivaji Sarkar. He is the former faculty and course director, English Journalism, IIMC, New Delhi. Currently, he serves as the Dean and Director of Department of Mass Communication and Journalism at Mangalayatan University, Aligarh. He is a senior political and economic journalist, academician, and commentator on contemporary politics and policies. He has worked with top media platform and an expert commentator on All India Radio, Lok Sabha TV, Doordarshan, etc. Sir, we are quite fortunate that you have connected with us. Sir will put his insights on Indian audience and impact of cinema with special reference to print media. Our next guest speaker is Professor Novina Chakravarti. She is an assistant professor, School of Media Communication and Fashion, Adamas University, Kolkata. She is mentoring advertising and public relations specializations. She is also a columnist on few social journalism platforms, mainly differenttruths.com and eCine India online journal. She had mentored and directed a few documentaries, um, informative shows, and short films. Besides these, she had also anchored Jaffran Film Festivals. Ma'am, thanks a lot for being a part of this webinar. Ma'am will put her insights on scripting cinema and understanding entertainment world. Last but not the least, our guest speaker is Dr. Swati Sharma. She is the assistant professor of music vocal in FGM Government College, Adampur, Haryana. She is a classical musician by training from her father and fascinating young singer as well. Her contribution to the language of music is critically acclaimed. Currently, she is working on a book which is about publishing a part of this webinar. Ma'am, your topic as suggested by you is the multiple color of film music's now. After this brief introduction, I would like to invite Professor Shivaji Sarkar to initiate his talk. Over to Shivaji sir.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all for the beautiful introduction. Perhaps more deserved. Your topic is very interesting. Audience and the Indian cinema, if I sum it in short. In fact, whether it is cinema, any performing art, or any other media program, it is always incomplete without audience. Audience is the key. It's done for the audience. It is meant for the audience, and the programs are guided by the choice of the audience. It is not from now only with the cinema. There are many other forms, many other modes that we have in the performing arts, whether it is dance, folk, or classical, whether it is a dance drama, whether it is theater, jatra, or any other mode, or even simple newspaper. Audience is a must. Only we call them the reader. If the reader doesn't read a newspaper, the newspaper flops. And if any of these visual mode, audiovisual mode, or audio mode doesn't get basic attention of the audience, things in today's terms, a TV serial for TRPs for the same reason. Its news also look for TRPs for the same reason. But of course, what we are talking of cinema, perceive the television, and it is there now for over almost 120 years or more, rather 105 years. So cinema has evolved over the years. We know with each decade it has evolved, it has changed. And it has been partially due to technical reasons and partly due to the choice of the audience. So, whatever it is, if you ask me, cinema overall has a positive impact. Though I remember when I was a child, and many of my generation during my childhood, cinema was not supposed to be a medium of the child. The child was not supposed to view a cinema because my previous generation used to believe that if we had exposure to cinema, in other words, media, will grow faster than we are supposed to be. That means, in simple terms, we are supposed to be said, "Cheleta ke jabe." This package our thing was very palatable for our previous generation who had grown in a very lazily manner and were not exposed to the movies as such. So they didn't have these kind of fear. And we find our next generation that is there, that is two generations after us, the new generation that has come up, we do not mind giving them the mobile or the laptop to them to see anything that is available on the net all over the world. So the perceptions of society has changed so much during the last, say, 60 years. 6 years before, what was taboo today is an accepted norm. And if you don't give the child that is device, it's said the child growth is affected and the parent is not in sync with the societal norms. So the positivity that we have brought in now has taken very long to gradually slide in. And forget about cinema. Even a novel was a taboo for a child in our childhood. There were different things that used to create more curiosity. And I think most of my generation, when they were 12, had finished most of the good part of most literature. Whether it's Bengali, English, if it's in Hindi or any other language, that's a different thing, or Odia, whatever the language it is. The child has always been curious and he has shaped the cinema in different ways. That is also true. I will say why. I'm not going back to only Dada Saheb Phalke. We know how Dada Saheb Phalke, Harish Chandra, and Tamara and all those things, how gradually changed the movie scenario. From silent movie to talkie to a blockbuster. That was to Betulkanya those days. Also had, interestingly enough, a kissing scene. Something that is possibly not, at least some time back, was also. Even now on the movie, it is not so much accepted, though there are exceptions also. So let us see how Bollywood contributes to the cinema world in terms of actual contributions to Indian GDP. In 2016, if we say, Bollywood contributed $4.5 billion to India's GDP. This is in addition to what Calcutta contributes, that is Tollywood, or Chennai contributes, the three major centers that I'm talking of. So you can say at a minimum of $6 billion is almost contributed by the cinema to Indian economy. And that means it's a very large kitty. And this kitty can't survive without the support of the audience. And with now Netflix and all those kind of various platforms, OTT platforms that are coming up, of course, the audience support is extremely necessary. And that's why I believe so much of obscenity and vulgarity has also crept in on the OTT platform. But let us come back to how Indian cinema has overall evolved during all these years. Let us understand cinema is very important. In fact, any media form is important. It is just not an art form. Quite often, we try to show it as only an art form. It is an art form, it is a written form, it is a spoken form, and it together communicates a lot. It has tried to change the societal norms, not only during the past 10, 20 years or so, but since my childhood and even before that, if you see the early cinema, how it has changed, gradually changed the basic entertainment pattern. It is imbibed from almost all folk forms, whether it is jatra, whether it is other folk dances, whether it is Lavani in Maharashtra, and whatever forms, it has assimilated a lot. And then it created a product that is acceptable, that speaks, and that allures audience to it. I know now the craze for a movie is not that much, but I know when I grew up, there were some of my students, friends, my colleagues who would not leave any movie the very first day, first show. They wouldn't spend any kind of amount those days to go to that. There were some who were addicted to movies, as many of you are now addicted to your mobile phones. And many I know, they lost their eyes also because of that addiction. The cinema has its good, has it not so good also, but it is definitely, cinema has been an emotional experience. Film with certain forms of TV, it still remains the best medium for relaying the human experience on a broad and entertaining scale. Film is also fun. It is laughter, it comforts, it inspires, it supposedly makes one smarter. How smarter? We'll see now you don't realize through the television you can see various kind of fashion developing all over the world, not only in this country. But cinema had been harbinger for developing the fashion technology also in this country during all these years. If a shirt, a salwar, a churidar came into fashion, or a guru shirt that Rajesh Khanna used to wear came into fashion, or an Albert hairstyle that came into fashion, it came into fashion because of Devana. And similarly, lots of things that has happened in the fashion world is inspired by the cinema. So it is not only that the audience inspires, cinema is also inspired a lot. And how all those things that happened those days is really not easy to understand, but it can be experienced. As you go through it, you will find that every cinema had become a part of an individual's life, a part of the society's life, and part of the communication process in a particular society. So let us see. You may have heard of Kismet. That was a movie made in mid-40s. And it was basically giving an aspiration to the 1942 Quit India movement, but in a disguised manner. So it has a song, दूर हटो दुनिया वालों, ये हिंदुस्तान हमारा है. It doesn't say English, go back. So cinema has also taught us how to communicate without offending your target. Cinema has contributed to the freedom movement through many of its movies. It's just not the Achut Kanya where the basically the caste differences were shown, or Sujata, which also is based on that caste difference. But when you talk of these kind of movies, and gradually you come down to various documentaries, you see, if you look at many of the early post-independence films, they have picturized the partition. It is a disaster for the entire humanity, not only of the subcontinent. And the beautiful documentaries that were made by the films division, and those days making a film, especially a documentary, wasn't easy. Any filmmaking requires lots of money. Now, possibly in real investment has come down to some extent. Of course, the technological investment has gone up. But if you look at the raw material investment that used to be invested in the raw films, that has virtually been eliminated. So those days, even for producing a documentary, you had to invest a lot on those raw films. It has to be procured, it has to be exposed, then it has to be developed, then it has to be edited. It was a long process, which has now been simplified by the technological process. Of course, that always happens, and entire media is dependent on this technology. And technology has also brought audience and the media extremely close. So let us see, as I talk of this partition, and soon after partition, we also find some of the beautiful movies also have come out. And one of it definitely was Mahal, Ashok Kumar and Madhubala. The fantasy that was created, it became source of inspiration for many of the following movies. The climax that it had was really interesting. And another factor that came with these movies, soon after partition, we find some particular community people were not using on screen their actual names, but they're using pseudonyms, whether it is Madhubala, whether it is Dilip Kumar, or many others. Many comedians also had similar. So, on the one side, there's a social divide, and the other side, we find a kind of a social assembly. Socially, people are coming together. That is also happening in the films, and it is not that the people of those days were not aware of it. They were aware of it, they were discussing it also, and also saying, oh, finally, they're not much different from us, either of the communities. The society has been addressing all these difficult issues in a very different way, but they were definitely not shying out in not discussing these kind of things. And that is possibly the strength of this country, that whatever you do, politically you may be divided, politically you may be different, but when it comes to an individual level or societal level, that differentiation vanishes. After all, again, this society accepts a human being as a human being. This is an interesting factor. Now let us see another aspect. And this is also a very important aspect, as we find now development is a key issue in our political and social life. But we do not understand the development or growth that often we talk of is really not progress. Cinema also has obliquely discussed it, but sometimes it has discussed it in a way, in a very heart touching manner. Let us see Bimal Roy's Do Bigha Zameen. Hope many of you remember that. I'm not talking in terms of world cinema, I'm keeping myself extremely glued to basically Indian cinema only, because otherwise the expanse would be too wide. Now, Do Bigha Zameen was the result of the first 5 year plan. Post 5 year plan, what we are saying is the development process that started picking up. That means industry started growing. And when industry grows, it requires land. And still, we could not solve the problem of acquisition of industrial land, on which we have many other subsequent movies, of course, and its impact on the immediate community of the farmers or the rural poor. Dobiga Zameen dealt with it very effectively in a very touching manner and with beautiful songs, beautiful lullabies. Just you can't possibly easily dream of. It was a success despite being, of course, those were the era of black and white only. But it was a successful movie because it could touch the heart of the people, the heart of the poor, heart of the farmer, heart of every Indian. As the land is taken over, the poor tiller goes to Calcutta, becomes a rickshaw puller, and how difficult his life had been, that was so effectively portrayed. And it also portrayed another aspect, and very succinctly. That is, the industry wants to grow, but at the cost of the pains to the people in the society. So possibly this has been one reason that industry could not grow, especially in India, the way it should have, because it got more curses than accolades from the people of the country. The jobs that it gave did not satisfy them so much, but the livelihood or the land that it took up from them, that caused an agony in the minds of the people. And in the subsequent wave, just come down to Sri Charsobis. I'm not going to all the movies, of course. There are lots of romantic movies and there are various ways, and every movie was a success. Sri Charsobis again portrays the problem of a metropolitan city of Bombay, the growing metropolitan city, its housing problem, and how, in the name of housing, which continues till today, people were being duped. So it gave to the society a concept, the concept of having cooperative housing system. And it became the norm in the subsequent years. Though now again we have given up that cooperative society system and we've handed it again to the construction industry or housing industry, whatever you can say. So you see, these small things. People like Raj Kapoor, Prithviraj Chauhan, and all others, they brought the people and the cinema closer. People wanted to learn from cinema, and cinema wanted to learn from the society and give it back to the society by giving and discussing and studying these kind of difficult scenarios. This was also the time when the 1857 movement was being discussed, rediscussed rather. And we find two beautiful movies coming out. One was Jhansi Ki Rani, that very valiantly portrays the Queen of Jhansi, Lakshmi Bai, And also simultaneously, it brings out the societal problems in Naurang by Vishantara. How a literary figure, a poet, had been reduced to penury because of the ingress of the Englishmen and how they were suffering, that had also come out. How the freedom of expression that was there, how it was being affected, that also came out. But remember, these two were the first color movies. Jhansi Ki Rani is supposed to be the first color movie. And Naurang, of course, Naurang, Janak Janak, Payal Baji, and many other entertaining movies that come out from V. Shantaram. And they were all not only entertaining, but they all carried a social message as well. But it never tried to directly educate the people. Did it educate the society or educate the audience? But they were successful in giving the message. And that is what I think cinema is. And that is why we like the cinema so much. Just a few years later, as there was Chinese war, we have another movie, Hakikat. It portrays the conditions of Indian soldiers, that they didn't have any proper uniforms and all that. That also was portrayed very, very subtly, but very clearly. And it analyzes, without saying that it is analyzing, why the war was lost. Again, these were all the time, especially 50s. We do not mention Nagin or Madhumati. Both carried social messages as well as entertainment. If you say entertainment, those movies were so entertaining. Sujata was, despite being so much of based on a caste issue, was so entertaining. So these were especially some of the best directors that were there. They created this. They took the camera virtually as a fountain pen, whether it is Sachit Roy or others, Apu's trilogy or Pathir Panchali. They all created that syndrome of the Indian society, and often when it started on such movies started getting international accolade, people said the poverty sells. Yes, poverty sells because poverty is reality till today. Now 60s, 70s, you find a new genre of entertaining movies come out. Technologies started improving. Color films had improved, and we find, I can go into many other details. Basically, there was the era of actually heroes. Dilip Kumar was a hero. Pradeep Kumar was a hero. Rajesh Khanna was a hero. And these way, there are many popular heroes of the time. And similarly, heroines are also there. And people used to connect with them, and people used to learn from them their mannerism, their style, their functioning, and ultimately they used to look for the social message they were giving. So if Meena Kumari had severe depression, many of her followers also had similar severe depression. If many shed tears because the maltreatment was given to Geeta Dutt, the singer, many of her audience also felt they were also not being treated well. So cinema and the society came extremely close in many ways, and people were looking, and there were people. And there was another movie. Quite often we think that not many movies are made for children. They were made, but there are not too many, of course, but there were. And one of those were, of course, Hum Panchi Ek Dal Ke. It was a beautiful movie which portrayed only children. Daisy Irani was and many others. And it created a syndrome that children not only can play, but plays can also be made for the children. So children, unfortunately, since those days, they were not that rich. So not many movies had come out, but few that came out was really a successful movie, and children wanted to see it again and again. But children had a problem those days. They didn't have it either on their laptop or mobile, or they had enough money to go to cinema houses again and again. Even buying one ticket, of course, those in today's term didn't used to cost much, but it was really a handsome money those days. Now let us come down to little later. Let us come down technologically, cinematically, thematically, dialogue delivery, if you see all, and camera work, every bit of it so superb. And that is supposed to have made the change in the Indian movie. And that is, yes, you might have guessed it. It was Gabbar Singh of Sholay. And his famous dialogue, Jo dar gaya so mar gaya, is now especially being realized during this COVID times. And COVID times is virtually has become synonymous with the kind of panic that has been created by the official syndrome and official system. And the society often, wherever I go, they say, Corona hai ya nahi hai, jo dar gaya so mar gaya. So these some of the dialogues that are there. And during this time, there was another interesting experiment that was done. That was a movie called Cinema that recaptured almost a 25 years of cinema. And it narrated how the cinema has developed in the country. And it was done so beautifully, edited so beautifully, it was collated so beautifully that before the subject there could speak up the dialogue, the audience should repeat the dialogue like that. So you can understand those 25 years, especially if you say from post-independence to say about 1980, whatever was done was recaptured beautifully by this cinema. And I believe anybody who wants to Indian cinema and its audience must study that cinema, the way it has done, the way it has captured the directorial debut, the actors' roles, actors' nuances, actors' behavior, and the audience behavior in a way. I think it reveals how cinema and Indian audience had become virtually synonymous in many ways, despite the limitations that Indian audience had of going to the movie halls not that often, which they can do now. And in between, of course, we will say there was emergency. Did not affect Indian cinema. It did. A singer, Kishore Kumar, was banned on Doordarshan and All India Radio, and even many movie makers were told not to use his voice. Many others, it happened with many others like that. There was a movie, Prem Parvat. It was made in a different way during emergency, but it had to be under the orders of the censor. It has to be remade. And of course, it lost much of its charm also. During 70s, another movie was Chetna. It was supposed to have been a landmark movie because it brought in nudity on the screen, possibly in an effective way for the first time, though there were some others also where it was there, but that could not bring in that nudity so effectively. Chetna did it. And its heroine, Rihanna, was called Chetna Girl for the rest of her life. Similarly, there was another experiment with Zarurat, where again the sexuality was discussed. And again, sexuality and sexual exploitation both were discussed together. And so, Reena Roy was renamed Zarurat Girl. So, 80s and post-emergency, many movies came out directly or indirectly speaking about the excesses of the emergency of 75 to 77 in different ways. During 80s, we have many movies some of the beautiful, entertaining movies, and so a few which from 71 onwards would developed as parallel cinema, starting with Sara Akash, where Rakesh Pandey and Madhumita was the heroine. They two together created a movie made out of a small novel, and they were successful movies. So that came another era where many movies are now coming out without cinema having a song. Music used to be there, background music used to be there, but song wasn't there. But that too became successful. Of course, earlier Kanun was there in 60s, which also did a similar experimentation, and it had a limited success. 80s, I would say, give us some of the good movies, entertaining movies. But if you see thematically in some cases, it suffered a bit. Music wasn't that good as it was in 60s or 70s or 50s. But when you come back down to 90s, again we find that music had started changing. Music was becoming more lilting, more attractive, and that was the era of A.R. Rahman. And now many people were going to the movies for Rahman's music. But if you think that cinema had separated from society, that has not never been. Whether it is 80s, if I go on elaborating, it will become very long. But in 90s, after this demolition of the Ayodhya structure, there were some riots at many places, and Bombay suffered a lot. So a movie came out, and it was named Bombay, with A.R. Rahman's music. And it discussed the riots so vividly and its impact, and with a very taboo subject, which is again becoming a controversial subject now, and inter-religious marriage. It discussed the problems also. But it raised many questions than it really answered. This has been the success of Indian movie. So audience is very important. And Indian cinema has been one of the most influential, powerful tools in addressing the various social issues where the medium of screenplay. And it has done it since 1930, the first movie itself. So Indian cinema, if you see how many movies are produced, on an average, more than 1,000 movies are produced a year. 1,500 movies by Bombay alone. On all over India, if you see, the figure is never less than 1,000 to 1,500. And if the OTT platforms now include, they're far more. And one thing, in all these processes, quite often it is believed that the government has been an oppressor and it has been a kind of an obstructive force. It was not so really. In times it has done it. Some of the governments have done it. Some of the ministers may have done it. But overall, the government has been supportive in this process. And that became very evident when the movie industry has been demanding an industry status. And when Sushma Swaraj became information minister in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's cabinet, she made it possible to give the movie an industry status. And that has made many of its financing and all those kind of things easier. Why I'm saying it? Because especially if you see 90s, while we are talking of Bombay, there are many other movies that glorified virtually the terrorism, the behavior of some of the elements that are funding those movies, like movies who were promoting virtual smuggling and many other kind of antisocial activities. So this giving the industry status helped a lot the entire movie industry, and the funding pattern is very simple and clear. Though earlier also government had tried with the National Film Development Corporation, but it was not very successful. I won't say it was totally unsuccessful, but it was not as successful as it should have been. So there is Mother India also. There was one movie also in 2005. The Mother India was in 1957. I'm not going to discuss all it, but it was definitely, it has given, discuss the entire rural problems, the problem of money lending, problem of farmers, problem of decars, and so many other issues. And it drew the audience. Now, the issue again is the study, if you study it entirely, you would find and it can demonstrate how realistic cinema influences had shaped the social norms and more has molded the society. Yet, simultaneously, it also dependent on the inputs from the audience. The audience in cinema was not that way different. The same perception as opinions the people build about social issues that surround our society are largely, if not completely, governed by the way they're portrayed through the method of acting or directorial ventures. Some movies, such as Rang De Basanti, ended up awakening the masses and raising a voice against the injustice in real time case of murder of the supermodel Jessica Lal. So, future studies pertaining to specific research may look at covering a wider range of social issues and also validating on evolving takes of the audiences that wish to see such realistic issues being addressed in a more unbiased fashion. This audience acceptance would encourage the mushrooming movie makers to create magic on the screen beyond the bounds of typecast and enlightening the cinegoers with more serious issues that need to be dealt with sensitivity and a sense of urgency to evolve the community at large for good. And finally, I would like to close my rendering with only one suggestion that for the OTT platform, of course, there has to be an intervention. There must be a regulator or kind of a censor because the audience acceptance is very important. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to all of you and remaining glued to all my renderings. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank you
closing
so
it here.
much, Professor Sarkar, for the wonderful deliberation on Indian cinema. Now, I would like to invite Professor Nobina Chakravarti for his initiatives. Over to you, Professor Chakravarti.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, okay, thank you. Okay, you can just put the main slide, and after that you can remove that. You can just okay, give it to the students who really definitely if they need to look at any point of time. Okay, so just I wanted a PPT because I wanted to have a very crisp because it's a discussion about film and it can go like hours and hours, year and year. People do research, people really put their lifetime in cinema. So here my topic is scripting cinema and understanding the entertainment world. The topic is really very wide and hello. Hello. Yeah. The topic is really very wide, and I need to submerge it into 30 minutes. So that's why I wanted to have a PPT. But for timing, you can remove the PPT. I would like to speak the spontaneously so that my students and my listener can understand that. Fine. So before starting off anything, firstly, namaskar to everyone, to all the dignitaries and the students for inviting me for this lecture and especially this film. Well, before starting that, I would like to start with a phrase that, film is one of the three universal language. Uh, what is that? That is, then other than one is mathematics and one is music. People feel that there are three universal languages. One is mathematics. Everywhere, if you go to any part of the world, any corner of the world, if you there is 1 plus 1 is equal to definitely be 2. Music can be anytime it is good music. It may be a saregama or a do re mi fa sol la si. It can be all the time. It has been a wonderful, and it will really give peace to your ears. And same with, I think, that is film. Universally, there is something. If we are capturing with in our camera, if something beautifully raining, universally the language would be the same. Someone is laughing, if you're capturing in front of the camera, everywhere it would be absolutely the same, that someone is laughing. Someone is crying, it will really look that someone is definitely crying. So I think, and it has been mentioned by Frank Russell Capra, an Italian American director, that film is one of the three languages of universal languages, and another two is mathematics and music. So for this note, I would like to start, and here I don't want to start with a kind of a superficial thing. I will start with I will divide it into three segments. First, what I will do, that what you understand by films. Yeah, before that, Professor Sarkar defined a very beautiful essay and understanding regarding cinema and the linkage with the society, which is really appreciable. And it helped me that, by the time my listener, my student knew many many versions of cinema, many genres of cinema. For me, it would be much more easier to make them give some good examples too. Now, what do you understand by film? Any movement, any happening, any story, any event recorded by any kind of camera. And as a set of moving images, a set of movie imaging showing in any kind of cinema, television, or any OTT platform, which we can look at on the screen, that you can call it as a film. Yeah, film and cinema, there's a difference. Whenever we are showing it to public exhibitions, then there's a cinema. Capturing, on another word, we can say that, captured on a film as a part of a series of a movie, make a film or a story or an event. It can be anything, any sequence of a consecutive images recorded in a series to be viewed screen in such rapid succession, and it will create a kind of moment. Suppose it does, film is not that I'm just climbing a stair, मैं सीढ़ी पे चढ़ रही हूँ. So I will be little in the mixed language, because I feel that, if we are talking about film, we can mix the language. Why? It's not that we are doing an oration, it's that we are using our feelings to it. I'm a person who born and brought up in a Hindi land. My working style in an English pattern, and my mother tongue is Bengali. So I believe in that. Both the mix makes me feel that yes, I can be into film, because it is a visual language more. So that is about the motion picture. The first time the Lumiere brothers started with a motion picture, one capture, that train is coming to the station, it means something, we are getting it without saying a word. So that anything we are capturing, any sequence, any pattern, anything which converting to a meaning, that is called film. So that's a basic understanding of film. Now there are a few basic terms of film, and when we capture any film, we divide into 4 patterns. You can say it. Suppose in a one capture, it is concluded as a frame. Frame means anything. We look at the frame like a rectangle way. Why we can't look at any frame in a circle, in a hexagon, in a triangle? Why? Because our vision is looking at in a rectangle way, and that is our frame is. There was a time when we used to use the reel of the camera, then we used to use the frame. Now in digitally, we have all the frame in and their changes are happening. But basically, remember when we were child, we used to run over a flip book. एक किताब होती थी, और जहां पे हम लोग वो फ्लिप करते थे, इट वॉज ऑलवेज लुक लाइक दैट. एक के बाद एक के बाद एक के बाद जब तस्वीर चलती रहती थी, तो लगता था कि वही जो स्थिर है, जो अचल है, जो एकदम स्थायी है, वो भी अब एक साथ घुमाएंगे तो वो कुछ चलता रहेगा. तो इट इज दैट मेनी फ्रेम्स आर कैप्चर्ड टुगेदर टू मूव अकॉर्डिंगली, एंड इट गोज एज अ फ्रेम. सिनेमा में कुछ हम लोग जो सिर्फ फिल्म देखते हैं उसमें कुछ बेसिक टर्म्स होते हैं, सच एज फ्रेम होते हैं। कुछ फ्रेम को मिला के हम लोग एक शॉट बोलते हैं, अ कंटिन्यूअस लेंथ ऑफ अ फिल्म विदाउट एनी कट। जब हम एक कैमरा को स्टार्ट करते हैं और बिना किसी कट के एक शॉट को लेते हैं, सपोज कोई सीढ़ी पे चढ़ रहा है या कोई सीढ़ी पे उठ रहा है या कोई बात कर रहा है या कोई किसी को कोई संबोधन कर रहा है, तो दैट इज कॉल्ड अ शॉट। Now, one is scene, a segment of a film usually made up with a number of splitted scene together. Suppose कोई घर से निकला, uh, कोई घर से निकला, बैग को टांगा और कौन सीढ़ी से उतर के गेट की तरफ गया, मींस कोई व्यक्ति निकल रहा है। मींस छोटे 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 पार्ट में हम लोगों ने कुछ शॉट को जोड़ के एक सीन को बदल दिया और एक मीनिंग बना दिया कि कोई जा रहा है कहीं। सो दैट कैन बी, अब जब कुछ शॉट, देयर आर मेनी फ्यू शॉट्स when they come together in a one frame, they come together in a one frame, that is called a sequence. And that's a multiple stories, multiple understanding of scenes that convert into sequence. और वैसे ही एक फिल्म बनता है, फिल्म की कहानी बनती है, कहानी में बहुत सारे लोग आसपास, हम लोग एक कहानी देखते हैं, कभी हीरो को देखते हैं, हीरोइन को देखते हैं, antagonist, protagonist, there are many form of storytelling. If you look at the example that what Satyajit Ray's movie, there were few parrot character and the film was going flow to anything. The dancing nature of Durga, the curious movements of Opu, a kind of a selfish and motherly looking at the Pishima. So every scene comes together, make a sequence, and they develop into a film. So these are the basic few terms of film, such as frame, shot, scenes, and sequence. So now there are many categories of film that we need to understand. Now, when we write anything, we know how to write, but when we change our format, it depends that sometimes we are write a piece of writing, maybe an application, maybe an article, maybe a feature, maybe a advertorial. It can be in a print or any kind of format. So film has some kind of categories and film. And categories and many kind of a format. That is, what is that? A short film. Short film can be more than 5 minutes or less than 30 minutes can be a short film. Any documentary, anything when real happening we are capturing into a moving picture, that can be a documentary. When we are showing someone some of the realities, someone the understanding that अगर कहीं पे कोई दंगा हुआ, कोई फसाद हुआ, कोई पुराना मॉन्यूमेंट है, कोई ऐसा प्राचीन एक ऐसा चीज है जो हम दिखा के लोगों को बता सकते हैं उसकी रियलिटी, तो दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एंड हम उसको जब दिखाते हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड डॉक्यूमेंट्री। जब हम किसी असली चीज को लेके आते हैं, उसको कैप्चर करते हैं, उसकी रियलिटी को दिखाते हैं जो फिक्शन से हटके होता है। फिक्शन जो होता है दैट इज इमेजिनरी, that is an imaginary understanding. Fine. So that is a documentary. Anything which is more than 5 minutes to any kind of a length, that can be documentary. मुझे आज भी याद है, in my FTII days, I have seen a 7 hours of documentary of a Czech Republic, Shilimanjer. They have the director, they created one documentary, and I realized it can be a 7 hours of documentary. So that is coming, it is a fascinating way. One is telefilm. Look, and I remember when we were into Doordarshan days, we used to watch a little serial kind of a thing, a long, more than length of serial at 45 minutes to 1 hour. It can be tele-serial. It can be 20 minutes of a journey, it can be 60 minutes. It can be a telefilm. Now, we from childhood, or many of us after 80s or 85, we have been grown up with a kind of serial. You can take it Hum Log, it can take Bunyad, it can be take Shanti, and the daily soap operas when it started in the early 2000 of K serials. So that is a serial or soap operas. The time limit of the soap operas are 22 minutes to 1 hour. It can be up to the limit of the entertainment channel. Now the series, and now a real understanding is called series. Now in the advent of uh, in the advent of ott platform, it means that over the top, it can be Netflix, it can be Amazon, it can be Z5, it can be Hoichoi, it can be Alt Balaji, it can be anything that, series format. They do it more than a length of a cinema. They create a elaborative perspective. They elaborate the character of a particular story, and they look at it. Can be a 9 episode, it can be 8 up to 18 episode of 40 minutes. So these are the categories of film. So now the topic has consist here somehow in our my topic is scripting cinema and the entertainment world. I must tell you that the list of film industry is India is not limited to Mumbai. If we feel that the cinema is only Mumbai, if we feel that a cinema and movies are only limited to the Bollywood, I don't agree, and no one will agree. Those who are cinema expert, cinema is everywhere in India. Right now, right away, you have a story, you want to capture it, you can really create a cinema. You can really create a cinema, and the list of the film industry everywhere. You can talk about Assami films, Assami cinema. It started in 1935. You can take Bengali cinema. It started in 1890. So we have a huge history of cinema with that. It can be Braj Bhasha. In our central UP, the bridge that Agra, Hathras, Aligarh, and Western Uttar Pradesh, they have also kind of a film industry with them. We have a Bhojpuri film industry, which has started in 1962 in the Western Bihar and the Eastern Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, Eastern Uttar Pradesh, and whole together Bihar. There's a Bhojpuri film industry. They have a Chhattisgarhi film industry. We call in 1965 we started. There's an English film industry in India. There are many people. They are creating English films with a subtitle. Yes, there are films. We have a Gujarati cinema industry which started in 1968. We have a Hindi, which everyone knows. Everyone knows. We have a Hello. We have Gujarati cinema. We have the only common thing that we know that is called Bollywood cinema. But Bollywood, we use it as a slang word because Bollywood has never been any theoretical word. Word. So we can call it as Hindi cinema industry. Right now, the base of Hindi cinema industry is definitely in Mumbai, but not limited to Mumbai. It is all over India. Delhi has really doing very well in the cinema perspective. They were Kannada industry that started in 1991. We have a Konkani, which is in Goa. We have a Konkani movies. And one of the very much authentic, and I must say there's a movie industry which a lot of understanding we have, that is called Malayalam movie industry. One is Maithili movie industry, and then is Manipuri film industry. One, we have a Gorkha film industry. Then we have Odisha have a huge amount of, you all belong from that state, and so have a wonderful wonderful movie industry. We have a Punjabi movie industry. We have a Sindhi movie industry. We have a Tamil movie industry, perhaps one of the wonderful Tamil movie industry, and Telugu industry. In slang, we use Kollywood and Tollywood, which is a slang word, but this is of the language movie industry. One is Tulu movie industry, which is in Kannada. So we have the list of industry in India, that film is not about limited to only Bollywood. Film is not about limited to any kind of understanding. Film is about showcasing a story which we can feel, we can understand, we can realize, we can feel it and make them realize to others, this is my story, and it can be one, you can be a part of the story. It can be your story as well. The cinema is like that. Now I would like to have some technical point to come up with, because our topic was scripting cinema. So I thought, I don't know, I always take the understanding with a literal meaning. So I wanted to discuss the stages of filmmaking. When we filmmaking, I've been heard, and I'm born and brought up in understanding. I have never been exposed to movies since my childhood, and trust me, when I was in my graduation, I started watching movie. Movie was never been my part of my cup of tea, because I have an understanding with my parents that you better you read watch movies in the later hours, because movies are only because of entertainment. I have met many people today. People think that entertainment is something, is the most waste thing. Important is that one has to be one engineer or a doctor, or one has to be an artist, or whatever, what not. They thought that it never takes a pain. And I must tell you, the background I belong, this is the most toughest, and I believe that is the most serene and a one pious part that one can really make it. You can write it, but whenever you want to show something, it takes a guts. When you want to make something realize, because you are creating a movie to make something alive. We can write, we can imagine right now with my writing Switzerland. We can imagine in my the way I'm speaking, I can make you feel that you are in a Switzerland, I'm in a Delhi street, I'm in a Kolkata street. But whenever you are shooting a film, it takes a toll, because we have to go there, we have to shoot it, we have to edit it, and it's a lot of process that happens, and it's a really tiring. It is not like that we are capturing few of the frame in our mobile. It's not like that we are looking just doing a video on our mobile. Film is really a process. So I must tell you some of the stages of filmmaking. The stages of filmmaking is divided into three parts. First is production, pre-production, then is production, and then is post-production. So it is divided into three parts. In the part of pre-production, what we do, we conceptualize the idea, we conceptualize the story pattern. Where is the story? Suppose sometime when when Ramesh Sippy thought of making
मैम किस
Sholay.
सब्जेक्ट पर बोल रहे हो?
Hello.
हेलो मैम, सब्जेक्ट पर बोल रहे हो?
Madam, please unmute yourself.
Hello. I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I thought that something is missed, I think. Okay, so when Sholay has been conceptualized in pre-production, so cinema's divided, stages of filmmaking has been divided into three parts. First is pre-production, second is production, and third is post-production. In pre-production, what happens? We think of the idea, that is scripting. When we thought about the cast and crew, who will play the cast and crew. If we look about and take the help of maybe Satyajit Ray's Pathir Pachali, thinking of the character of Opu, thinking of the character of Durga, thinking of the character of Horihar. If we take about the film Sholay, thinking of the film of a Basanti, thinking of the character of Jay Viru, one has to think about earlier, before the production. Find the location where we will shoot at. Satyajit Ray went first to the Bangladesh. From originally it has been shot. Then they realized they could not able to shoot that in that particular understanding, and they came to a different kind of understanding, and they came to a North Bengal pattern, a village called Boral, and they came and with a very extreme atmosphere, a very extreme weather, they shot the movie. About the art direction, when we look at the cinema, where we will shoot the movie, we have to find out the location, we have to find out the prop, we have to find out the actress, actor, any character, we have to find out the design of the dresses, wardrobe function, production schedule, when, where, which, and how the film will be shot, at which place, which time, which shot. So that is required in the pre-production concept. Now the post-production concept. Production concept is basically the go to the location. It can be a room, you can be a location, a village can be a location, a street can be a location, some mountain can be a location, a river can be a location, it can be any location. You go, you take with your camera, you take with your crew, you just go there, you shoot the thing, you have that clapper boy, you have the boom mic people, you have the actors, you have the artists. then time you need to shoot it, you need to actualize that which is the perfect shot you have taken, you have to segregate that shot. So these are the various topic. It can be electrical understanding, lighting understanding, sound setup, actors, the makeup, the style, the hair, the camera angles, the camera movements, the scene rehearsals, video and audio recorded. It has to be a lot of understanding with that. Now that is called the production part. Now the post production, this is also very, very, very important, is that first whatever we have shot, whatever we have captured in the camera, we need to put it alongside. There was a time, now we are so blessed that we have some digital understanding, but there was a time when we used to shoot in a reel camera, array Mitchell camera. We used to rule by rule, and we have to cut the reels which are the perfect shot, which are not perfect shots. So now we put it into the, we segregate the best shot, we footage, edit the footage, we come to the editing table. In editing we use lots of video styling, that can be FCP, Avid, pro editing. Then we have to edit the audio, we have the dubbing. Right now in film we have sync sound, we have live dubbing is there, so you can do it. But there was a time the actor, after acting in the film, doing all the camera setup, they used to come to the studio, they used to record their sound once again. So it's a very tedious job. Now visual effect, that is sound effects, sound editing, sound designing, musical score, audio track mixing, audio. So now these are also in the post production. Now in the era of liberalization in the marketing, and where we are having lots of film together, now PR, the public relations, and the post production and the promotion and the exhibition and distribution, these are the very crucial part of the film designing, film post production, to the editing, to the distribution, and plus the film, and what we do when we do the post production. So that is very, very, very important. So now this is a technical part of pre-production, post-production, and post-production and post-production. Now I have talked with Mr. Jaina that people never discuss that what happened in the pandemic. Yes, in our generation, if you look at our last 10 decades, no one has heard of any such unforeseen condition. That is a word called quarantine, there is a word called lockdown, that is a name called corona. Yes, after March 2020, when we were looking at the trailer of the Suryavanshi, when Akshay Kumar is flying and jumping and we are supposed to go to the theater, we realized that, oh my God, world has stopped. India has now somehow, there is a no vehicle is going on, everything is shut down. And at that point of time, we thought about laborers. At that point of time, we thought about beggars. At that point of time, we thought about, oh my God, people are losing jobs. But I must say, we never thought about what will happen to those freelancers, those who are editing, those who are capturing anything in camera, those who are the light person, those who are the spot boys, those who are the hairdressers, makeup artists. Oh my God, film is not only related to hero, heroine, antagonist, and protagonist. Film is all about those workers, those who are behind the camera. They are actually pushing their sweat and blood to make a film happening, and the audience is making feeling good and leaving their own world, coming to a different world. Oh my God, they are suffering. When I was reading a lot of newspaper in economic times, what is the effect of post-pandemic effect to the entertainment industry? People always thought, livelihood is important. Those people, those who are into their livelihood, they are showing you, they are making you happy for some time. They are also doing their livelihood. They are not leisuring. If someone holding a mic for hours and hours, it's not that maybe you feel entertained, but they are also spending their sweat just to make you feel happy. So at that point of time, post pandemic, and the speculation word, the Event and the Entertainment Management Association, they said that has it is a SOS signal for the entertainment industry and the film industry to the government that's seeking urgent intervention as industry employs 60 million. You'd never know. Industry that, we share the 2% GDP of India. Entertainment industry, the film industry capture the 2% GDP of India. In the previous, we have a 131 crores of people, and 2% GDP thus means a lot. The 60 million people involved in entertainment industry, in the film industry, the television industry, and they are actually their hand to mouth. If you take about the actors, those who are very popular, the director, yes, they have earned a lot. They have earned a lot. We make the star, but I don't understand. We have to think about those who are behind the screen. The association is that even an entertainment management association even thought that 60 million staffs, 10 million have been 10 million people directly impacted through their livelihood, and because of this pandemic, and really it has been stopped. And the adverse impact of the crisis on the event is experimental industry expected month to be coming with two last month, the 3,000 to 5,000 crores at on stake. The films they have been made not exhibit because they cannot get the money. We cannot have the money to exhibition. The film that has been on the loop is half prepared. Where is the money? Because sponsors are not giving money. So, and the theaters are closed. People are being out of job. Even people, those who are working at the cinema theater in the multiplex, they have been directly and indirectly affected a lot. The artists, I have been listening to the stories that people, those who are well trained in editing, they are well trained in music, they are telling me that, ma'am, we don't have job because, the everywhere world is shut down. We are not getting payments, and there are few payments that has been stopped because the makers are telling that we don't have money. People were hand to mouth. Yes, there are many association. We always make pity that laborers are really suffering. They are also laborers, and there are also people they are really doing this kind of work. So pandemic make a real sufferer and the adverse feeling. So beside 10 millions of employees directly, this industry employs 10 million people directly, 60 million people indirectly in Indian understanding. So they have been in the sector of, food industry, beverage industry, hospitalities, tourism, advertising, market industry, and really many more. Now, thank God to the one channel that is called OTT platform, Netflix, Amazon, YouTubers, and in this pandemic, we popped up with many wonderful artists. We popped up with many wonderful artists. A housewife is cooking and looking at, making her show, and I feel that kudos to that lady, and she can fetch out 10K, 10,000 people, they are watching it, and OTT platform out. So back to normal now after this pandemic. Still Corona is here. Still we are being affected. People are being dying. People are being detected. But now industry has to run because many people will go hand to mouth. So OTT platform channels, they are coming back, and the film industry also coming back in the form of now theaters. In West Bengal, theaters are even opening with a half audience. So now we are back to normal, but we are back to with new normal, with new protocols, with new understanding. So here is the entertainment world is affected somehow, somehow passing through by this kind of backlogs. So that is what the understanding is. So this is what my presentation is. In the last, I would love to one thing, and I would express one thing that, Christian Marx is a French film theorist. He always tells one thing, and I do believe it. Film is difficult to explain because it is easy to understand. We take film like they are so easy. यार picture ही तो है. ये पिक्चर बनाता है, पिक्चर दो बनेगी नहीं तो हम खाएंगे नहीं क्या? जरूर खाएंगे. वी विल डू आवर वर्क एवरीथिंग. लेकिन उसको बनाते हुए जो मेहनत कर रहे हैं वो they will not be there. And process of filmmaking, it looks very amazing, it looks very wonderful, but इट्स सो इजी बिकॉज हम लोग हमेशा कहते हैं ना, जब हम किताब में लिखते हैं कोई चीज और किताब में लिखी हुई जो बातें होती हैं हम लिखते हैं, हम किताब में लिखी हुई बातों को इमेजिन करते हैं और फिल्म आपको बना बनाया परोस के सामने देखती है। जब फिल्म हम देखते हैं तो हम इमेजिन नहीं करते, हम सामने जो कहानी चल रही है उसके सभी पात्रों को देख पाते हैं। उस सभी पात्रों को साथ में लाने के लिए बहुत लोग इसके पीछे मेहनत करते हैं। एंड एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री इज nothing more than nothing like other industries. It's always just like every livelihood. अगर किराने की दुकान में लोग बैठ के मेहनत कर रहे हैं तो फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में भी लोग बैठ के मेहनत कर रहे हैं. They have all the talent, they are artists, they are actually paying a lot of things, and that's the about entertainment industry to know them. So with that note, I would like to end here with my verdict. And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box or in that column so that I can absolutely look at. And thank you. I'm getting some messages here that you like the presentation, and I'm really humbled and honored that you asked me and you have asked me for the presentation. And सिनेमा के बारे में लोग अपनी जिंदगी बिता देते हैं, रिसर्च करते हैं, पढ़ते हैं. ये खाली एंटरटेनमेंट नहीं है. अगर आपको कोई खुश रखता है, अगर आपको कोई एक दूसरी दुनिया में ले जाता है तो उसमें भी मेहनत लगती है. जैसा कि एक डॉक्टर भी काम करता है, ऐसा इंजीनियर भी काम करते हैं, ऐसा एक टीचर भी काम करता है, वैसे सारे people those who are working behind the screen, they're equally working. That's all my presentation, and thanks to all the listeners those who have been listening to me. Thanks a ton. Any question they may ask me. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Navina Chakravarti, for your wonderful deliberation on Indian cinema and the market, etc. The question and answer session will be held in the last. We have another speaker, Dr. Swati Sharma. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Swati Sharma to initiate his talk.
आप सबको मेरा नमस्कार. मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
Ma'am, Swati ma'am, please.
हेलो.
Yes ma'am, you are audible.
हाँ जी. अभी हमने मैडम को सुना और सर को सुना. बड़ी अच्छी चर्चा यहाँ पर चल रही है और मैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का थैंक यू करना चाहती हूँ और शुभकामनाएं, उनको बधाई देना चाहती हूँ कि इतने बड़े लेवल पर उन्होंने वेबिनार को आयोजित किया है और मुझे भी मौका दिया है. विक्रम सर का थैंक यू करना चाहती हूँ, नवीन सर का थैंक यू. और मैं अब अपना टॉपिक है जो वो शुरू करती हूँ. मेरा टॉपिक है फिल्म संगीत में बहुआयामी रंग. हम बात करें कि जैसा कि हम सब जानते हैं कि साहित्य समाज का दर्पण है. अगर हम यूं कहें कि फिल्में भी समाज का दर्पण है तो इसमें कोई अतिशयोक्ति नहीं होगी, क्योंकि हम जो भी कुछ समाज में देखते हैं, जो भी कुछ समाज में प्रचलित होता है, हम उसी को विषय वस्तु बनाकर देखते हैं कि फिल्मों में उसे फिल्माया जाता है. काफी हद तक सिनेमा हम कह सकते हैं कि वो सामाजिक परिप्रेक्ष्य से प्रभावित होता है. हालांकि उसमें काफी चीजें काल्पनिक भी होती हैं, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं काफी हद तक वो उसमें सामाजिक विषय वस्तु ही रहती है. अब अगर हम बात करें फिल्म संगीत की, तो फिल्मों में संगीत का बहुत महत्व है. फिल्म संगीत के अंतर्गत एक होता है बैकग्राउंड म्यूजिक और एक है फिल्मी गीत. तो बैकग्राउंड म्यूजिक आपने सुना होगा, जब कोई भी सीन चल रहा होता है तो उसमें पीछे पीछे कई इंस्ट्रूमेंट बज रहे होते हैं उस सीन के अकॉर्डिंग. अगर मान लीजिए कुछ खुशी का अगर कोई सीन है तो ऐसे सितार में झाला टाइप कुछ रनिंग की चीजें बजेंगी, वायलिन बजेंगे, रनिंग मतलब खुशनुमा जो एक माहौल क्रिएट करने के लिए इंस्ट्रूमेंट बजाए जाते हैं, या कोई आलाप चल रहा है, कोई सिंगर गा रहा है उसे. ऐसे ही कोई जैसे गमगीन कोई अगर सीन चल रहा है तो उसमें पीछे कोई करुणामयी सितार बज रही है, वीणा बज रही है, कोई इस तरह से वायलिन दर्द भरा कोई इस तरह से उस पर धुन बज रही है, ऐसे आपने सुना होगा. तो बैकग्राउंड म्यूजिक का भी एक अपना महत्व है. ऐसे ही किसी सीन में जब कोई सस्पेक्ट दिखाना हो, कोई इस तरह का चीजें दिखाना हो, तो स्वरों में भी इस तरह के कॉम्बिनेशंस का प्रयोग किया जाता है कि कोई जैसे आप सुनिए, तो ये एक रहस्यमयी माहौल इस तरह से क्रिएट किया जाता है. तो बैकग्राउंड म्यूजिक का एक अपना महत्व है. अब बात करते हैं फिल्मी गीतों की. तो फिल्मी गीत जो हेलो, आवाज आ रही है
Yes, yes.
क्या? हाँ, फिल्मी गीतों की बात करें तो कई विषयों पर फिल्मी गीत बने हैं, जैसे कि भाई बहन के गीत। बहना ने भाई की कलाई पर प्यार बांधा है, रेशम की डोरी से संसार बांधा है। इस तरह के जो गीत हैं वो भाई बहन के पवित्र प्रेम को दर्शाते हैं। ऐसे ही तीज त्योहार के गीत हैं, जैसे होली का दिन, होली के दिन दिल खिल जाते हैं, रंगों में रंग मिल जाते हैं। और इस तरह के और जैसे देशभक्ति के गीत हैं। जब ये गीत देशभक्ति के जैसे गीत हैं, वो जब ग्रुप में गाए जाते हैं तो एक अलग तरह का जज्बा हम में भी पैदा होता है कि जो हमारे देशभक्त हैं उन्होंने इतनी कुर्बानियां दी हैं। तो एक गीत मैं आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करती हूँ। लड़ते भी गए, कहते भी गए, आजादी के परवाने, जीना उसी का जीना है, जो मरना वतन पर जाने। है वतन हमको तेरी कसम, तेरी राहों में जहाँ तक लुटा जाएंगे। भूल क्या चीज है तेरे कदमों में, हम पीठ अपने सरों पे चढ़ा जाएंगे। है वतन। इस तरह के गीत है जो अपना एक अलग से प्रभाव हम पर छोड़ते हैं। फिल्म संगीत की मेरा मानना है कि ये कम्युनिकेशन गैप को भी खत्म करता है। अभी मेरी ट्रांसफर हुई है एक जगह, मैं मुझे 10-15 दिन ही हुए हैं यहाँ आए हुए, और मैं ज्यादा अभी पहचानती नहीं, लोग मुझे भी नहीं पहचानते, बस उनको जैसे पता है म्यूजिक के टीचर आए हैं। तो एक मैडम मुझे मिले तो उन्होंने कहा मैम आप गाते हैं? तो मैंने कहा हाँ जी। कहते जब आप गाएं तो मुझे बुला देना। मैंने कहा ठीक है। अभी मैडम को मैं जानती भी नहीं थी, बस वो आए तो मैं मुझसे उन्होंने कुछ गीत सुने। ऐसे ही उनको भी बहुत सारे गीत आते थे पुराने, उन्होंने भी गाए। ऐसे ही हमें 1 घंटा बीत गया, पता ही नहीं चला, हमारे बीच कोई बात ही नहीं हुई और बहुत सारी बातें भी हो गई इनडायरेक्टली। तो आप देखिए किस तरह से ये कम्युनिकेशन गैप को भी खत्म करता है, खासकर फिल्म संगीत। आगे जो मैं बहुआयामी रंगों की बात कर रही हूँ, मैं आगे चलते हुए शास्त्रीय संगीत जो हमारे फिल्मों में प्रयोग हुआ है उसके बारे में चर्चा करूंगी। हमारी कई फिल्में हैं जो डायरेक्टली शास्त्रीय संगीत पर आधारित बनी है। जैसे 1952 में आई बैजू बावरा, 1954 में शबाब, 1955 में झनक झनक पायल बाजे, 1960 में मुगले आजम, 1962 में संगीत सम्राट तानसेन, तेरी सूरत मेरी आंखें गीत गाया पत्थरों ने, सुर संगम इत्यादि। ऐसे ही कई सारी पिक्चर हैं जो डायरेक्टली जो शास्त्रीय संगीत पर आधारित हैं। और इसमें हम म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर्स की बात करें तो नौशाद साहब ने काफी काम किया है क्लासिकल म्यूजिक पर। ऐसे ही बसंत देसाई हैं, एस एन त्रिपाठी, एस डी बर्मन जो आर डी बर्मन जी के पिताजी हैं, रामलाल जी हैं, लक्ष्मीकांत प्यारेलाल जी हैं, शंकर जयकिशन जी, मतलब इन्होंने वेस्टर्न को भी बढ़ावा दिया और साथ साथ क्लासिकल पर भी इन्होंने अपने जो संगीत पिक्चरों में दिया है। हमारे शास्त्रीय संगीत के काफी कलाकारों ने फिल्म संगीत में अपनी आवाजें दी हैं। जैसे फिल्म बैजू बावरा में तानसेन के पार्ट को उस्ताद अमीर खान साहब ने गाया, और बैजू के पार्ट को पंडित विष्णु दिगंबर पलुस्कर जी के सुपुत्र डीवी पलुस्कर जी ने गाया। ऐसे ही उस्ताद बड़े गुलाम अली खान साहब ने मुगले आजम में गाया। एक किस्सा भी मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाहती हूँ। जब के आसिफ साहब अपनी फिल्म मुगले आजम बना रहे थे तो उन्होंने वो चाहते थे कि मैं उस्ताद बड़े गुलाम अली खान साहब से अपने फिल्म में गीत गवाऊं। तो इसी पेशकश को लेकर वो उस्ताद जी के पास पहुंचे। तो वहाँ उन्होंने अपने ये पेशकश रखी कि मैं आपसे उस्ताद जी अपनी फिल्म में गाना गवाना चाहता हूँ। तो उस्ताद जी ने मना करने की नियत से उन्हें अपनी फीस ही इतनी बता दी कि ताकि वो वहां से चले जाए, मतलब फीस इतनी सुनकर वो चले जाए। लेकिन जब आसिफ साहब ने सुना, भाई उन्होंने बोला 25,000 रुपए मैं ये गीत के लूंगा, और जबकि उस समय लता जी और जो मोहम्मद रफी साहब टॉप आर्टिस्ट थे, वो भी 500 से 1000 रुपए तक, ये भी बहुत हाई फीस थी उस समय की। तो इतनी फीस होती थी, लेकिन उन्होंने इतनी ज्यादा फीस बोल दी क्योंकि वो उन्होंने गाना नहीं था। लेकिन आसिफ साहब इतने जिद्दी किस्म के इंसान थे, उन्होंने भी उनकी पेशकश को, जो उनकी फीस थी, उसको स्वीकार किया और उनसे उस फिल्म में 2 गीत गवाए। तो ऐसे-ऐसे किस्से कई सारे हैं। अ, हमारे जो शास्त्रीय संगीत के कलाकार हैं, फ़िल्म संगीत वालों को बहुत तवज्जो देते हैं, उनको बहुत मान्यता देते हैं। बड़े गुलाम अली खान साहब लता जी के बारे में कहते हैं कि लता वो बात 3 मिनट में कह देती हैं जो हमें कहने में 3 से 4 घंटे लगते हैं। मतलब वो जो एक माहौल क्रिएट करने में जो माहौल क्रिएट करने वाली बात पर ये बात है। लेकिन ये उस्ताद जी का एक बड़प्पन भी कह सकते हैं, और लता जी तो उनको गुरु तुल्य मानती थी और उनका बहुत सम्मान भी करती थी। ऐसे ही एक बड़े गायक हैं उस्ताद अमान अली खान साहब, भिंडी बाजार वाले। तो लता जी उनसे भी संगीत सीखने गईं। तो जब उनको पता चला भी लता ने मेरे पास गाने आना है, तो वो कहते हैं कि मुझे रात को पूरी रात नींद नहीं आई कि लता मुझे मेरे पास गाना सीखने आएंगी। तो ऐसे-ऐसे मतलब शास्त्रीय संगीत के भी कलाकार हैं जो फ़िल्म संगीत वालों से इतने प्रभावित है और मान्यता भी देते हैं। फ़िल्म संगीत कोई आसान संगीत नहीं है, क्योंकि इसमें हालाँकि शास्त्रीय संगीत का पुट इसमें भी रहता है। शास्त्रीय संगीत सीखे हुए कलाकार हैं सभी, चाहे वो लता जी हैं, मोहम्मद रफ़ी साहब हैं, मन्ना डे हैं, तो सबने शास्त्रीय संगीत सीखा हुआ है। लेकिन साथ-साथ फ़िल्म संगीत में क्योंकि भावों की प्रधानता भी रहती है, और भाव ऐसी चीज़ है जो सीखे नहीं जा सकते। भाव तो तजुर्बे वाली बात है, ये चीज़ें तजुर्बे से ही आती हैं। तो इसलिए फ़िल्मी गीत गाना जो कहते हैं भी आसान चीज़ है, तो ये कहीं से भी आसान नहीं है। आसान तो कोई भी चीज़ नहीं है, आप कोई भी चीज़ गाएँ उसमें मेहनत लगती है। तो आगे मैं शास्त्रीय संगीत पर आधारित एक गीत आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करती हूँ। जनक जनक पायल बाजे, जनक जनक पायल बाजे, पायलिया के धुनक धुनक, पायलिया के धुनक धुनक, छम छम मनवा नाचे, जनक जनक पायल बाजे, जनक जनक पायल बाजे। ये फ़िल्म जनक जनक पायल बाजे से लिया गया गीत है। उस्ताद आमिर खान साहब ने इसे गाया था। और ऐसे ही एक गीत हम दिल दे चुके सनम से एक बंदिश है, राग अहीर भैरव पर आधारित है। और एक बात और मैं कहना चाहूँगी, जैसे ये फ़िल्म संगीत में शास्त्रीय संगीत का प्रयोग किया जाता है, तो जब हम कॉलेज में बच्चों को सिखाते हैं, तो कहीं न कहीं उनके जो सीखने की क्षमता है, वो पहले से बढ़ी हुई नज़र आती है, जब वो फ़िल्म संगीत के थ्रू उस चीज़ को सुन लेते हैं। अब जैसे जो मैं बंदिश अभी सुनाऊँगी, वो फ़िल्म में भी आई हुई है। जब ये राग उनके सिलेबस में हम ये बंदिश कराते हैं, तो ये बच्चों पे एक बोझ नहीं होता, क्योंकि वो ईज़ी हो जाते हैं इसे सुनकर फ़िल्मों में। तो एक ये ईज़ीनेस भी मैं ऐसा महसूस करती हूँ, फ़िल्म संगीत की ये देन है बहुत बड़ी। अलबेला सजन आयो रे, अलबेला सजन आयो रे, मोरा मन अति सुख पायो रे, मोरा मन अति सुख पायो रे, अलबेला सजन आयो रे। मंगल गावो चौक पुरावो, मंगल गावो चौक पुरावो, मन रंग नित आयो रे, अलबेला सजन आयो रे। ये शास्त्रीय संगीत का जो मैंने दिखाया कि बहुत योगदान है फ़िल्म संगीत को। आगे हम सेमी क्लासिकल फ़ॉर्म की बात करें, तो उसमें एक गायकी है ठुमरी। ठुमरी को मैडम परवीन सुल्ताना जी ने, एक फिल्म आई थी कुदरत, उसमें एक आपने गीत सुना होगा, ये किसी और फिल्म में गाया है किशोर कुमार जी ने, हमें तुमसे प्यार कितना। तो इसी गीत को ठुमरी के अंदाज में परवीन सुल्ताना जी ने किस तरह से पेश किया, वो आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करती हूँ। से प्यार कितना, तुमसे प्यार कितना, हम नहीं जानते, मगर जी नहीं सकते तुम्हारे बिना। हमें तुमसे प्यार कितना, मैं तो सदा से तुम्हारी दीवानी। आ आ आ मैं तो सदा ही तुम्हारी दीवानी। भूल गए पिया रे कहानी, कदर न जाने, कदर न जाने, तुमसे प्यार कितना, ये हम नहीं जानते, मगर जी नहीं सकते तुम्हारे बिना।
Ma'am, your audio is getting slow.
तो इस तरह से ये ठुमरी का अंदाज भी फिल्मों में पेश किया गया है। पाकीज़ा फिल्म में, गदर एक प्रेम कथा, जब भी बैठ में भी ठुमरी, आओगे जब तुम हो साजना, रावण में भी जब क्यों ना बोले मुंह से मोहन, इस तरह से ठुमरी का भी प्रयोग किया गया है। आगे गजल की बात करें, उससे पहले एक फॉर्म है दादरा, वो भी सेमी क्लासिकल फॉर्म है। ना मानो ना मानो ना मानो रे, ना मानो ना मानो ना मानो रे, दगाबाज तोरी बतिया ना मानो रे, दगाबाज तोरी बतिया ना मानो रे। तो ये दादरा एक स्टाइल है गायकी का, वो भी प्रयोग किया गया है पिक्चरों में। आगे मैं गजल जो लाइट म्यूजिक के अंतर्गत आती है, सुगम संगीत के अंतर्गत। हालांकि इसे सुगम संगीत या लाइट म्यूजिक कह दिया जाता है, लेकिन लाइट का मतलब ये नहीं कि बहुत हल्की गायकी। ये गजल गाना भी अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी मतलब मुश्किल चीज है, गजल गायकी भी। तो कई पिक्चरें ऐसी बनी जिसमें गजलों का काफी हमें सुनने को मिलती हैं। जैसे गजलों की जब बात आती है तो मदन मोहन साहब की बात ना आए ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि उन्हें गजल किंग कहा गया है। लता जी उन्हें अपना भाई मानती थी और कहती भी थी कि अगर मदन भाई ना होते तो शायद आज लता भी ना होती। तो उनकी एक दिल की राहें फिल्म में एक गजल आई थी, रस्मे उल्फत, 1973 में ये पिक्चर आई थी। तो ये गजल मैं कोशिश करती हूँ। कैसे कैसे कैसे
में उठाते हैं जो दुनिया राहों में उठाते हैं जो दुनिया मेरे टीचर प्रोफेसर हुकमचंद जी जो एमडी यूनिवर्सिटी रोहतक में डीन और एचओडी अभी कल उनकी रिटायरमेंट है, वो रिटायर होंगे, तो उनका काफी प्रभाव है मुझ पे, मैंने उनसे काफी संगीत सीखा है। तो उनका कहना है कि जब भी कुछ आप गाएं, खासकर फिल्म आप जब फिल्मी गीत गाते हैं तो उसके पीछे की स्टोरी आपको पता होनी चाहिए। अगर उसके पीछे का आपको स्टोरी पता है तभी वो भाव आप अपने गाने में ला सकते हैं। तो वो हमेशा वो कहते हैं कि उस पिक्चर को देख के आओ जिसका आप गाना गा रहे हो। तो हमारी ये कोशिश रहती है कि हम वो पिक्चरें हम नोट करते रहते हैं और उनको मतलब उनकी लिस्ट बनाई हुई है वो देखते हैं, तो जिसका गाना तैयार कर रहे हैं। तो धीरे धीरे ये चीजें भी हम कवर कर रहे हैं। तो एक गजल और है जो पाकिस्तान के मशहूर गजल गायक उस्ताद गुलाम अली खान साहब ने फिल्म निकाह में गाई थी। एक गजल का अंदाज ये है। बहाना याद है
Ma'am, we can't hear you. Your audio is very slow.
स्टाइल वेस्टर्न का फिल्मों में प्रयोग किया गया, इसमें बीट्स वेस्टर्न इस तरह की रहती है। ओपी नैयर साहब ने, आर डी बर्मन साहब ने इस तरह के काफी प्रयोग किए हैं। एक गीत है तस्वीर एक दीवाने की नहीं है सोच से क्या बात है उस पर ऐसे ही तो गीत है ओपिनियन साहब का जाइए आप कब दूर तक आपके पीछे पीछे
अलग अलग जो रंग लिए गए हैं फिल्म संगीत में, एक अपने आप में अलग तरह का ही प्रयोग है। कोई ऐसा रंग नहीं है जो फिल्म संगीत में, फिल्मी गीतों में प्रयोग ना किया गया हो। एक ये अलग सी हम कह सकते हैं अलग सा म्यूजिक है जो मतलब एक सभी फॉर्म्स को अपने में लिए हुए है। इसलिए कहते हैं फिल्मी गीत गाना भी आसान काम नहीं है। अंत में मैं अपना इस टॉपिक को यही समेटते हुए अंत में यही कहना चाहूंगी कि फिल्म संगीत एक तरह का गुलदस्ता ही है जिसमें इतने रंग अपने आप में लिए हुए जो फिल्म संगीत है, और बहुत कम समय में 3-4 मिनट में ही इसमें अपना काम दिखाना होता है, जो एक बहुत मुश्किल बात है। और फिल्म संगीत जगत में जो इसके अगर भविष्य की बात करें तो इसका भविष्य उज्जवल था, उज्जवल है और उज्जवल रहेगा, ऐसी हम आशा करते हैं। और मैं अपनी वाणी को यही विराम देती हूँ और आगे का कार्य सर धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, ma'am.
थैंक यू सर।
Now I would like to invite Professor Shubham Das for go for the question answer session. We have a few questions, one or two questions, one for Professor Sarkar and one for Professor Navina Chakraborty. Over to you, Professor Shubham Das.
I would like to invite Professor Shivaji Sarkar to respond one question from our side. Sir, please unmute yourself. Shivaji sir.
Yes, I have joined.
Yes, sir. One question asked by Vikram Mahapatra. Cinema now
please.
is only for entertainment or have any social message to Indian society?
Now you see, there was long back, I remember, there was a question put to some music director that you are making songs and putting good lyrics, but you are just trying to put it into the mode, whether there is a context. A context is a must. Yes, the context is a must for a song. Similarly, entertainment is must. You see, entertainment is what? If you say in basic theatrical context, entertainment is nothing but creating a pig where the audience remains connected to it. So if the audience remains connected, that is entertainment. If audience doesn't remain connected, the entertainment is not there. Entertainment, even in a classroom lecture, when you say it is interesting, that means the teacher is giving him the required material that he wants. So audience also wants the material, but he also needs the packaging. The packaging is very important in any kind of media delivery. If the packaging is not there, then you say, oh, what is this? Ye kya hai? So ye kya hai, if the audience asks, that means somewhere the communication delivery of the messenger is failing. So entertainment is that packaging of the messaging. Messaging, you see, you may remember how Kalidas delivered and how Dandi delivered. Dandi was too straightforward. He used to hit your head. So people do not like Dandi. But Kalidas, the poetic rhythm that he has, that attracts the people. So cinema must have that poetic rhythm, and that poetic rhythm comes with the basic entertainment. Messaging, yes, there has to be a message, is always there. It is not always
Sir, your voice is breaking.
very delicate or whatever it is. The message is always there. But if message only becomes the purpose,
then possibly the messaging also fails. Messaging, if you can't fail, that is basically it. Entertainment is a part of it. But one more thing I would like to say, which I wanted to tell in my main presentation. One, of course, is the Corona period. Of course, this I think these 8 months have been devastating for the entire nation, and the entertainment industry definitely has been hit extremely hard because, except for the top end of some people, most are surviving on just survival wages. So, really time for them, very difficult time for them. But another aspect I would say, especially the regional movies of late has come up. But there is one thing that I have when I move from say Gulf, that is the West Asia, Sri Lanka to Nepal and Southeast Asia, I find all these areas have been united. And of course, in the time of your Raj Kapoor, Russia is also there. That is Hindi cinema. Its messaging, its entertainment power, and whatever it. Sometimes there is no message, but it has connected this entire world, India itself as well. And another interesting thing I will tell you, in this region, whether it is in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, there are many singers who have become virtually cover singer for many top-end singers or like that. There is one Champa Kalashekar in Sri Lanka. She virtually is the female version of Talat Mehta, and she's immensely popular there. So the impact of movie that we are seeing, it is goes beyond we can really imagine, and it has, I believe, shaped and reshaped not only our social values, social views, but also quite often it has been, like I say, the film like Nayak, it has impacted our political system as well. And remember that in all those films, entertainment is the best. I hope I have answered my question. If you have any more, I can answer that.
Yes, sir. There is another question.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Hello.
Another. Yes, sir. You are
Am I
audible.
audible, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Hello.
Hello, sir. You are audible, sir. Sir, you need to unmute yourself. Okay, sir.
Oh, sorry, that got muted. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
If you have any other
Tekari
question,
Jana-
I can answer it, please. That is,
Yes, sir.
do you have any
Bikram
question?
Jana has. Yes, sir. Sir, Bikram Jana has asked,
Please.
what is the difference between art and
Yes.
commercial cinema?
No, you see, commercial and arts can be commercial also. I believe recently I was viewing some of the advertisement films, and they have subtly and beautifully through the camera only conveyed the message that they want. So commercial, it does not mean that commercial art is not an art. It is not true. Commercial is art. Commercial film is similarly an art form. Only thing is what is commercial and what is non-commercial. When we come to discuss the non-commercial part, especially of the parallel cinema, they're immensely popular. So they were definitely nice art forms, and that's why they are immensely popular also. So art form, how you present it, if it becomes a commercial success, you can present just a pure simple art, like Pratyek Panchali you see. Okay. Or Bombay. Now how would you compare the two? Both are beautifully projected, and basically anything that is beautiful, wherever there is this art, whether it is the commercial, in parallel cinema, in documentary, or anywhere, it always appeals. So art is about appeal. appealing to your senses, appealing to your mind, appealing to sense of thinking. See, that art is there, whether it is commercial. Now, I just mentioned about Nayak. You see, it is a beautiful commercial movie with a strong political message, but with also, of course, with all the masala of what you say basically in the commercial movie. And the audience remains you. You see, any art form has to be entertaining. An abstract art, if you can understand it, it is entertaining. If you can't understand it, it is not entertaining. So, what is important is your understanding. And understanding of the art is extremely necessary, and that is where the success of producer of the medium is. Say if a cinema producer can make his audience understand, then he is entertaining. If he can't make his audience understand, then it is not a successful movie, or neither unsuccessful on the box office terms, nor successful in terms of audience view catching. So you have to understand entertainment, whenever you say entertainment or art or anything, the simple, I would say, just if you go back to journalism, the simple news writing. News writing is about what? Whatever we are conveying, the reader must understand. Cinema is also the same. Whatever the cinema director is producing, you see number of movies, you can just find out. There are supposedly experimental movies, art movies, and all that. But when the audience can't understand it, they are not successful. If a film like Sara Akas or Bhuvan Shom is successful, it is successful because the audience understands the message. If Sholay is successful because it is entertaining, audience understands the message. So if Prem Parvat fails, that means somewhere the messaging has got broken. So this is one key aspect of the movie making or any art form, that message has to be to the understanding of the viewer, the audience. And that is where the success of any art form is, any medium is, whether it is a news, whether it is a documentary, whether it is a movie. So virtually, art has to be there, and art again is what people can understand. If people can't understand, it becomes too abstract, then again it is not successful. So the painter also understands this. M.F. Hussain was good at it. Gulzar was good at it. And there are many other painters you can name, Jamini Roy and others, everybody. They knew how to convey and how people will understand and appreciate them. So understanding is must for appreciation. So commercial, well, there will be some masala to, which is, makes your moments lighter, and that makes entertainment sometimes far better. And if it is not there, then again it becomes dull. And again, movie can't be dull. Movie is a dynamic form, and through its dynamism, it has to go through various steps, but must keep the audience glued to it. And that keeping the audience glued is art. Keeping the audience glued is entertainment. Keeping the audience glued is box office success. And keeping the audience glued makes a good venture. Am I clear now, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for answering all our questions. Now, I would like to invite Navina ma'am to respond few questions from us. Ma'am, please
Sure,
unmute
sure.
yourself.
Sure, tell me.
The same question asked by Vikram Kesari Chenna to you. What is the difference between art and
Well,
commercial cinema?
yeah, in our film studies, there are three levels that we look at into. What is one is art house, one is commercial, and in between there's a mid path called parallel. So in commercial movie, anything can be commercial whenever we are, It's not about commercial, it's all about, making for people's movie. If you take an example, in the if you know in our 40s to 50s, there were Pathe Pachali was there was Mother India was there, but there was a time, there's time when Devanandan's come in with a guide, with a romantic person and a very liberal turn. That is also a commercial movie at point of time. And this art house movie can be, people always say that, why cinema should be such of a glamour, with the artificial Indian. Only Indian cinema has some uniqueness that, after a hero or a heroine, and if they will fall in love, there will definitely be a music. Maybe that is not real. Then art house filmmaker, they always tell when something is always a meaningful. There's something called there's definitely be a dialogue. Then art house movie came. If you take MS Satyu's Garam Hawa, they dealt with a very, 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 very crucial issue when, after partition, when Muslim people, they stay here and they always call that, this is my country, I want to get a job from this country. The struggle after the partition, the way they have been, people have been, not only any community or any religion, the way people have been used, exploited, suffered, the empathy, the plight, they have been showing it as somehow real. Fine. So art house movie came with a more realistic approach, some more serious issue. Now commercial movie came. I'm just giving you an understanding with a very layman perspective what a normal student can able to understand. And commercial movie came with an understanding. Any youngster or an old person can leave their mind aside and can look at a beautiful story with loads of good songs, loads of something. There are absolutely some art and realistic things are happening, but that makes us feel happy when we are watching in the theater, in front of the theater, on the screen. And one in between, the parallel cinema came, that they always wanted and never wanted to make people so bored or so realistic. They always wanted to give on both the twist. In between, in 80, Shan Benegal came with his own parallel part of a movie, such as you can say Ankur, Nishant, Bhumika. These are the cinema that came, and that was also inspired. And then few of the movie came with in the Bengali cinema called Aparna Sen, when she came with the Chhattisik Charangi Lane. Then there are many filmmakers, they came out with an understanding. Satyajit Roy was always made cinema for real topic, real issues. Everything is nothing called unreal, nothing called real. It's all about, understanding what is happening. And we are reverse. People imbibe from films, and films, they live things what is happening in the society. So commercial is basically a layman approach, is that is for the audience, for exhibiting, for making some more, fetching some money. It's a commercial perspective. Art house takes a more realistic understanding and thematic subject. They take somehow come with an approach to a movie, that this is a context, this is a perspective, this is an art. Then that makes the terms of a art house movie. And a parallel which comes in a both the way, they are lifting few of the things from commercial understanding, and they are taking some real issues together. Okay. Hello. Someone's mic is unmute. I hope I
Yes,
could able
yes,
to
ma'am.
name an answer to you.
Yes, ma'am. Another question asked by Rudra Narayan Das. What is Bollywood's role in changing Indian attitudes to women?
If you take about only Bollywood, I must say that India having this amount of big audience, and having 2029 states and union territories, why we are only restrict to Bollywood? There are Tamil cinema, Telugu cinema, Bengali cinema, Marathi cinema. There are many other cinema that actually, if you talk about in a broader sense, yes, there's a huge influence of cinema to make a perspective of women, definitely. And I also, in a last question, I always said, like, took a lot of incidents, potential thing from the society. And what we look at the movies, when we see the movies, when you look at the movies, then also women, they also imbibe from cinema. Suppose the dresses, even men as well. Suppose dress to hairstyle to makeup to approach to way they behave. People are actually looking at that, and people, women are actually. But the cinema. There's a Mother India in Indian cinema where that mother is taking over the fact. There's a guide in Indian cinema. There's a guide, though it is written by R.K. Narayan, a free spirited woman when she left her husband for her own understanding and she lived her life with her own terms. That is also a portal of women. If you look at a Bhumika, it's also a portal. When we look at Nishant, when we look at Ankur, there's also women. They are downtrodden, they have been exploited, but there is a strong sense of women that are coming across, and these are being imbibed from the society as well. So this is all a synonymous. It always goes, going parallelly. It always goes. There are some time, then there are few people, they have been not exposed to the fact what is actually happening in the world, and these are the women that have been portrayed in the cinema. You will take a lot of understanding like that. If you look at the Pother Pachali to now, if you look at the Sonata, the movies, three women sitting in a room for 3 hours of one night of discussion, whole film, and you can get the perspective of women. If you look at the women perspective of Ritu Porno, if you one has to see the Ritu Porno's film, I always believe Ritu Porno is not a feministic filmmaker. I think he is a womanistic filmmaker. That because he portrays a different level of understanding of film cinema. If you look at the film called Doshor, it is all about the women's companionship all the time. It's not that woman has to be a one Sadi Savitri. All the time, it does not mean woman has to do every sacrifice. She has all right to do things. So it's a very simultaneously a one-to-one mix with the amalgamation with cinema and the normal society, and both are the mirror image. I feel, yes, few of things are unrealistic, but cinema has to if you are showing something with a 2 hours or 1 hour or a one particular time frame, something will be definitely be unrealistic. The way we look at drama, in drama people are singing, dancing, music are there to make you feel better, so as cinema happens, but stories are somehow they replicate each other sometime. So that is all about that. Women and cinema is something really coming one phase to another phase, because when lipstick under burqa is always in the band, there was a huge amount of questions answer, but reality is reality. There's something imbibed from the normal society, and why we are hesitating to look at that. I always have a debate that I don't want any restriction on OTT platform, because putting all the restriction, we are making people all aware of that what is happening there. The curiosity we are making too much here. Yes, we cannot make something too over the top. We cannot do something over leverage. We have to understand our part of duty as well. So I'm just lifting to was that when suddenly recently called now there's something recently a film called that One Gadi and Chamakte Sitare by Konkona Shen Sharma and Bhumi Pednekar. These all stories are somehow imbibed by the society. There are stories are there. So it's all are representing each other sometime. I believe so. Thank you. Any other question? I don't know whether I could able to answer these questions or not, but
No,
I felt
thank
it.
you.
I replied.
Thank you, ma'am, for responding all the questions. Now, I would like to invite Professor Uddanarayan Das to go for a formal vote of thanks for this.
If I am audible, can I have a short intervention? Very short.
Okay, sir, please.
Do you see, women, if you look at Indian movies or even Indian serials, I would say women are central to it. Without a women's issue, sometimes even in a comic movie or a comic serial also, these issues are represented always in a very subtle and sometimes very direct manner. So saying that Indian women are not represented in a movie or a serial or any kind of audiovisual art form, I think it is a misnomer. They're always there because it is also a part of our own literature, any language. Take it Bengali, take it Hindi, take it Tamil, Telugu, Gujarati. Women are always very vocal in all societies. And also, it is true that women are also most suppressed. So, both the issues you will find being reflected in many movies, many serials, and many other ways it is coming out. So, without a women, whether it is Bollywood, whether it is Calcutta's Tollywood or Chennai's Tollywood, none is spared out of it. You see, even the way a movie actress commits suicide, that is turned into a movie. You know that. So women are discussed, women's problems are discussed, women's exploitations are discussed, women's education is discussed, and their home life is discussed, their sexuality is discussed. In fact, I believe without women, virtually, there is no movie that is there, whether it was even Alamara or whether it is today's, any movie you can name in any language for that matter, whether it is Bhojpuri, whether it is Braj or Merit's everyday movie that comes out from those backyards of the farm fields. So women are central to it. Women are not ignored at all. And many issues, the rapes or anything, you have many movies on those, and very shrill messages going through that. What today we also represent is represented. Basically, what has recently happened in Hathras or Bulandshahr or many other places, they're all reflection of those movies that are there. The way the movies reflect it, the media sometimes tries to do it, and even the local populace tries to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Uh, After the wonderful session, it's my pride privilege to go for a formal vote of thanks for this session. First of all, I would like to thanks our esteemed speaker, Professor Shivaji Sarkarji, Professor Nobina Chakravarti ji, and Professor Swati Sharma ji for enlightening us today. I extend my hearty thanks to Dr. Vikram Kesari Jena, Director of Center for Adivasi Research and Development Odisha, and Chinmay Sahu, Executive Director, Center for Adivasi Research and Development, for their friendly cooperation and to organize this webinar. I would like to express my profound gratitude to our principal, Professor Pallab Chakravarti, for his cooperation in organizing the series of webinars. I would like also thank our convener, Professor Sharat Chandra Pradhan, uh, co-convener Professor Shubham Das, co-coordinator Ms. Payal Agarwal and Baidhar Das for their tremendous support and guidance to organize this event. Finally, I am happy to express vote of thanks to all the participants, including academics, students, civil society members, media persons who have made this webinar a grand success by sparing their precious time with us. Thank you all. The meeting is concluded now.